So here we are. We finally got to Unit 6, and we're today going to be looking at the online tools that we use to help us create our learning events or learning experiences. So I hope you took the opportunity to look back at evaluations and assessments, and Neil is here in the room this afternoon, so he would be, I'm sure, happy to, if you've got any further thoughts or questions about that, because that's going to form part of your assignment. Neil can be here to address those. Janice has very kindly joined us as well today, taking a day off from actually presenting. So she's listening in to what we're saying today. And of course, I'm sure Janice is available again for any questions that you might have as you go into your assignment. So if anything on your mind. I'd like to thank Marta as well today. Marta's agreed to share some of her experience and tips and ideas. So I'll call you in, Marta, when it's your time. So you just should be able to share screen and go ahead with that. And then one final introduction, Fernando Pinilos, you'll see in the Zoom room too, is from our team in Europark. He's very much our technical communications guy behind the scenes, does all the smoke and mirrors, makes it all happen, makes all the technological communications happen. So he's been editing all of our videos and doing all the IT behind the scene. And I've asked him in with us today to just talk us through the use of Zoom. What's the best use we can make from Zoom, and indeed his particular expertise in the making of videos. So you might want to be making videos in advance that you're going to show as part of your learning events, and he'll be happily give you some tips on that. But first of all, I'm actually going to hand over to Marta, if you don't mind, if you're up and ready. So it's nice to actually hear from a participant of the course, and Marta, very glad that you've offered to take 10 minutes just to share some of the tools, tips and experiences that you've had as an online trainer. So I'm going to hand over to you now. Let me know if you're able to share screen or if I have to make your co-host do that.
Okay, I'll try.
Great, thanks.
I'm just looking for the slideshow, I think. I go to slideshow so hopefully you can see the whole thing, the whole screen. There maybe. So I'm just using this browser that I've never used before. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Everyone, yeah. Okay, so hopefully it won't take 10 minutes. I just wanted to share something with you, the training that I was involved in a couple of previous editions, and hopefully we'll have the third edition this autumn. But it's a training on, it was organized by the OECD, so the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, based in Italy, in Trento, so in northern Italy. They've got two offices, one in Paris and one in Trento, in northern Italy, and also the Trentino School of Management. The first edition we did was in 2019 in the autumn, just before the lockdowns, and actually that was the first region, northern Italy, as we probably remember, first region in Europe that was completely locked down, and they had the massive coronavirus outbreak. So I was there probably a couple of months earlier doing this training in the Dolomites. So it was face-to-face, and we focused on sort of the management of tourism in natural areas, but it was also on natural areas and UNESCO sites, because it was done together in partnership with the UNESCO Foundation. However, last year, for the second edition, we had to respond to COVID, and we focused on the future of tourism in natural areas. So this is just a screenshot of from the OECD website about the training, and you can see. So yeah, the title was the future of tourism in natural areas, and we decided to focus on three pillars: on the impact, governance, and financing. And what that meant that we invited, and by we I'm talking OECD and this Trentino School of Management, and I was one of the 5 tutors for this course. And the way we organized it was that we invited people from all over the world, because there was no restriction in coming over. We didn't have to come to Italy. Everyone could do it through Zoom. So invited professionals from various sort of areas, so academics, NGOs, protected areas managers, protected areas staff, businesses, businesses operating in protected areas. So invited all of those people to come and join, and but the condition was that everyone had to come with a case study, with their own case study, focusing on these 3 pillars. So just say, let's say you are a protected area manager, and your case study would have to just, you would have to be able to present how COVID has impact the way the park is run, maybe the visitor management issue, maybe how it's impact the governance, what are the implication on financing, and the idea was that if we get these professionals from all over the world, from different protected areas, then we can compare the impacts, compare the responses, compare all the things that have been happening, and also just see how different or how similar our case studies were. So we had 30 participants, and we divided them into 5 groups of 6. So I had a group I actually had a group of 7 because of sort of the time differences. I had 7, someone had 5, but so let's say that it was a group of 6, and then for 5 weeks, each tutor had the work in a group. And we were, and then again, so for each week we were focusing on different pillars, talking about governance, talking about finances, talking about various impacts, talking about strategies for future management of tourism, exchanging ideas, and we did that for 5 weeks. And to do that, we used Google Meet for group meetings. Some people used Zoom, but the group meetings were usually about 90 minutes long, sometimes 2 hours. So I didn't have the Zoom that would last that long without paying. So, but I found Google Meet very, very, very simple, and you don't even have to have a Google account to do it. So it's very simple to set up. Just go to Google Calendar and do the meeting. So that worked, and so that was sort of that was the tool. And then after this 5 weeks, we had. And during this 5 week, we used a shared drive on Google's for everyone to share their own materials. So, so 30 participants, they're all divided into groups, and then we had folders on Google shared for everyone to, for example, share the presentations, share the case studies. Then at the end of each session, I, as a tutor, sort of summarized it for a couple of slides, and then also shared it to everyone, so everyone could see, all the other groups could see what particular groups were doing and how they were doing. And also we had separate meetings for tutors on Zoom, and again sharing every week, sharing the experiences from our group, seeing how we can take it forward, how we can improve. And at the very, very end, we had a week of plenary sessions when we had all of the participants together, all the 30 of them on Zoom again. And I'm spending time talking about it because we're looking into having the 3rd edition, and hopefully it will happen this autumn. And hopefully I could encourage some of you to apply. It was all free, and it was absolutely fantastic experience, just for sharing lessons and sharing experiences. Europark was actually partner for this training as well. And this is just one slide at the very end. We asked, and I guess that's an evaluation tool, Carol, that you were talking about earlier. So one of our evaluation tools was we had a survey for everyone, but also this was a sort of very quick thing to evaluate. Just ask them at the very end, to put this on the word cloud, 3 words that best represent your tour experience. Touring is the name of the training. Then you can see it was, people were just saying it was just great opportunity to network, stimulating, amazing, transformative. So that was that was very, very wonderful. Very pleased with the outcome. So that was our sort of key evaluation tool in addition to the survey. So that's enough about TourNet. But I also very recently came across, and I don't know whether you've heard of something called a mural. So this is another training that I did recently on regenerative tourism. And And I've never heard of murals before. I don't know how long they've been around, but also I found it very interesting. So we had a group of 20 participants, and the mural here, I mean, this is just a screenshot of the mural, and this is at the very top of my screen. You can see if you just go to app.mural.co, then you can access the mural and sort of start a new one. And I don't know whether this will work, because I would like to actually show you how it works in practice. So I'll try to go to this now. Hopefully it will actually take us to that mural that I, one moment, hopefully it's coming. Just again, just to show you, if you're not familiar with it, just to show you how it works. Yes, it's working. Okay, so I just said that. So you share this. So if you've got a group of people, you share a link to the same mural. So everyone's got the same access to the same thing, and everyone can sort of sign in as a person. And then you can see, I'm not going to go through this in sort of too much details, but so for example, for this particular task, we
Marta, we're not seeing the mural.
Are you not seeing it?
No, it's you probably have to come out of your presentation and then go into the mural and share the screen from there. That's probably the way to do it.
Okay, because I think that's quite useful to see. So let me see if I can come out of this then.
Yeah, so just close your presentation.
Yeah.
Or yeah, close, and then stop screen sharing, and then go into screen share on the screen that's got the mural on it.
That's fine. So I'll do that.
You don't even have to close your presentation if you're going back into it. But,
okay. So I just see
share screen again with the new page of the mural page that you want. I've done this multiple times myself, going, why aren't you seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, and realize that's the
I'll see if I can do it now. Can you see it now?
No.
Sorry. Okay, well, I'll try one more time, and if not, maybe I can send you a link, Carol, and you can share it.
You can just put the link into chat.
Yeah, I'll put a link to exactly. I'll put the link to chat. Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah,
I'll try one more.
Yeah, share screen and then just find your screen as you would have done with the PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay, then what is this? So okay. Maybe here.
It's coming up.
Yeah, but it's the wrong link. Okay, maybe now. Let's see. Can you see it?
It's got welcome to the mural, regenerative tourism next step. Right? Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so if you can see it now. So, and again, just to sort of, because it's just a quick presentation of the tool, but I found it very useful. So for example, with this one, we had 5 minutes to talk about, how do we find let's say what regenerative tourism is, and then you've got how many people you've got in a group, and then you can go, for example, on the left hand side, you click on text, that gives you a little sticky notes. So you've got a sticky note, and then you can drag the sticky note sort of here and then write something in the text. You can do write something together, and then if you've got people doing this simultaneously, then you're generating various sticky notes there. So it's like a sort of joint exercise that you can do. You can add photos, for example. You can add whatever you want into the mural. And I just found it a great tool, great sort of interactive tool during training to to have ideas, to brainstorms, for example. So you give people 5 minutes and say, okay, let's spend 5 or 10 minutes generating ideas what regenerative tourism means to you. And then you can sort of add whatever you want here. Then we, on this particular exercise, we move somewhere else and just said, how do we do it? And again, so for example, again, you go to the sticky notes and you add things to it. So this is just something, again, like maybe it's been around for a long time, maybe, I don't know, but I only came across it very recently, and I found it very useful for group work during training. Okay,
You know
that's
how they got the information in the back? How did they get the information in the background to which you're then putting the stickies on? I mean, I'm going to show this a little bit in Jamboard, which is an even simpler version of this. Do you know how they got that information in the background?
That was just a slide. So the trainer of this particular thing just shared her screen. Yeah. She had a PowerPoint slide, and then we could then add and some. So see, I don't know how she got it into the mural. Okay. First, the text in the back, but we yeah, we just got this. But actually, you know, working on the normal on sort of a free text-free mural, if you actually join, if you know join mural, if you just go into that, you just got plain screen, more like a whiteboard, and then you can copy and paste things onto it. So I presume she had a slide on this, you know, all these things that are behind it about regenerative tourism, pasted into the blank mural, and then gave us access, and then we all were using all the sticky notes and putting things onto it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is similar to the only thing I've learned how to do this in Jamboard. I'll show an example of that later. But yeah, great, thanks. That's it. Yeah. Looks very fancy. That. Do you have to pay for that, or is it free? I saw there was. I think free. Yeah, you have to pay for it. So if you buy just to try it, you've got 30-day access. But then you have to pay for it. I don't know how much. I haven't looked into this, but okay. But I thought, you know, it was, as a group. I mean, I was on this training last week, and it was 20 of us, and we all had a really sort of interactive session, just putting all the little sticky notes all around it, and that worked very well. Is that you finished with your tools? And great, thank you very much, Marta. Certainly going to check out mural.com. I'm not familiar. I mean, my team will laugh as I'm not familiar with Google Meets, but yeah, does anybody else use Google Meets or any other sort of meeting platform?
Google Meet is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a little bit late with the product in comparison to Zoom and to Go Meeting and Teams, but it's really simple to use. It's really light application. You don't have a lot of problems with the connections. There is no issues about screen sharing. You know, it's Google.
Okay, I'm going to check that out. So great. Thanks very much. So I'm going to hand over to Fernando now, because we've moved from the Google Meet platform into the Zoom platform. The Zoom platform is the one that we in Europark have invested most in. We used to have GoToMeeting, but we just found it to be really limiting, particularly because it was predominantly blank screens, and yeah, we just didn't like it. But we had invested in Zoom before COVID. It was a platform that we had, you know, grown quite accustomed to, and even more so, preferred to use a Zoom meeting as a webinar rather than as Zoom webinar, which again we found more limiting. So on that, I'll hand over to Fernando, who will talk you through, you know, what we've learned about getting the best use out of Zoom.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, so get ready, because this is gonna be a bit technical, but I wanna get into the details on how to organize Zoom meetings and so on. Okay, if you have any question, you can write me an email after the presentation, after today's meeting, and I will try to answer your queries. Okay. So basically, what I want to cover today is how to organize and how to set up a Zoom meeting and how to host it. What is the role of the host? Okay. And also, Carol will speak about this, about engagement tools, about the Jamboard, and you also spoke, Marta, about Mural, which it can be considered also like a really engaging tool for participating, to making the audience participate. And then we will get into video making, very basic concepts. Okay, you're not going to learn how to do videos today. You're just going to get the fundamentals on how to do a good video. Okay, and also we will speak about green screen videos, which I'm sure you have heard about at least. But I will go really fast over them, because there is a specific tutorial we created last year for another project, for Life Edu project, that has a more comprehensive information. Okay. So we start with the online meeting setup. As you can see, because we are using it now, we are very friends of Zoom. First of all, what you need to organize a Zoom meeting is to register into Zoom to create an account. There are free accounts. They have a limited duration for meetings of 40 minutes, but there is different plans that you can pay, and you can have, well, increasingly upgrades. First thing that you need to do for organizing a Zoom meeting. I'm gonna focus. You will see on the right side. You see this screen, which is a copy of the scheduled meeting window that you get when you log in through the app. Okay, it's a difference between logging into Zoom through web or through the app. Okay, so through the app. First thing, okay, topic of your meeting, date, start the time, which, by the way, it doesn't mean that the meeting will start automatically. You can start the meeting whenever you want. This is just for information for the participants, okay? So you can start the meeting, you set it at 1, but you can start it at 12:30 to prepare, okay? Meeting ID, there is an important thing here, which is generate automatically the meeting ID. I recommend using it because it generates a specific link for each meeting. The other option, personal meeting, is kind of a virtual room, but this option is always with the same meeting ID and with the meeting link. So you share it across people that are not in your team, for example, they can jump in a meeting that you are hosting without being invited, okay? Within the security options, we recommend using enable passcode and enable waiting room, okay? Passcode by default is embedded in the meeting link that you're going to share with your participants, so they don't actually need to put the passcode. But sometimes we have had the situation before in which the passcode is required. So make sure that you share the passcode with the participants, okay? And enable the waiting room, like we did today. You want a waiting room to prepare the meeting without the audience, okay, without the participant. Some advanced options, we normally use the participants, we mute the participants upon entry. So we have a silent room to do the greetings and so on, and you don't need to go and do the settings when you start the meeting, and automatically record the meeting as you have heard before. It's easy to forget, okay? You can also add an alternative host, which will allow another person of your group to start the meeting, okay? Then if you want to add functions to somebody else, like for example, I have now, which I'm not the host, you can promote them as co-host, but the alternative host will be able to start the meeting, whereas a co-host will not, okay? You can find way more options via the web page of Zoom. It's a really comprehensive program, really extended information, many options. Have a look, explore, and you will see that yes, we're highly customized. Okay. Well, and then you have to just share the meeting link, the meeting ID, important for people that is joining through web, and the passcode, as we said before. So that will be for the organization. For the hosting, really basic stuff. Start the meeting in advance, like 30 minutes in advance. Get ready, get the room ready. Make sure that the waiting room is enabled. You can do that during the meeting. If you click on security, those commands, you will only have those controls, you will only have them as a host or a co-host. But if you click on security, you will see that you have this option of enable waiting room. Make sure that is checked so participants remains in the waiting room whilst you prepare the room.
1 wee second, Fernando. Vesna, do you have a question for now, or is your hand up just by accident? Or
No, I have a question.
all right,
Yes.
Fernando, yeah, Vesna, thanks.
I would like to know which subscription to Zoom would you recommend, because there is really a price range regarding the functionalities, and sometimes Zoom is really unfriendly with the added cost and so on, about where to save the recording video and things like that.
Well, yeah, it really depends on the amount of participants, on the amount of hosts that you want to have. For example, right now, I think we are in the pro plan. Sorry, I don't know by heart the names, but we have 10 persons, 10 hosts, the capacity to host 10 meetings at the same time. And we have an extension for up to 500 participants in a webinar, okay? We don't have the webinar extension, but 500 participants in a meeting that we run as a webinar. It really depends. I cannot give you a recommendation without knowing what will be your requirements, but I can send you an email later on and we can discuss what will be the best option for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, because we had a monthly subscription with this package, as you mentioned it, for 10 co-hosts. And when you just, compare the functionalities, it's not really user-friendly. Like, you are obliged to have at least 10 co-hosts.
Yeah.
When you see the first price, it's like 30 euros. And then when I was buying it for the first time, I was like, oh, and when did I buy 10 of them?
Yeah, because the package starts at 10 hosts. One of the main advantages of that package is that you have interpretation. You can add translators. That's why we have it. It's one of the reasons. The rest of the lower plans do not have a translation option. And there are other features that I don't know by heart, but we can discuss about that.
And how does this translation looks like?
You enable different sound channels, okay? So you allocate one translator in each channel and the audience can choose which channels they pick.
Oh, great.
For example, for Portuguese, for English, for Italian. I haven't included here because it's quite an advanced function and I didn't know that you may want to use it, but I can give you some explanations, okay, by email.
No, it's just great to know that this package is the first one that includes that. Yeah. Thank you a lot.
So anything below that, you won't get translations. But we managed most of our webinar programs in the last couple of years on the lower standards. I think it was 300, was it not, Fernando?
Yeah. 300.
For us, the factors that were important for us were how many people can we get in the room at one time, and we were regularly getting 300 people in the room, so we needed a package that was 300 or more. Plus we
how many hosts we have, how many meetings at the same time.
Yeah, because we have 15 members of the team who are all using Zoom, so that was an important factor to consideration. If it's just you on your own using the Zoom for your purposes, you don't need those multiple hosts. And then I think the third thing was the size of cloud capacity that we would need to store all that information on in order to utilize it in some way. So yeah, you don't need to be going for the top of the range pro account. We do, because that's what we need to do. But I think for a training facility, if you were just a trainer providing these kind of sessions like this, you could easily do that in one of the lower packages, because you still get the breakout rooms. You're still able to record. Remember, you can record onto your computer. So as long as you've got enough storage space in your computer for the files of the meetings, then you don't need the cloud space to store it. If you imagine 10 members of staff all using Zoom, we're using a huge amount of storage. So as long as you've got, I think you've got the Zoom, you've got the room, the breakout rooms. Do you get polls in the lower levels, Fernando? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think you get in the lower levels. The main problem, for example, I will avoid the free account because it has a limit of 40 minutes per meeting. That will probably not make it. But between that and the pro account, which is the one that we have, I think that starts with 10 hosts. That range, I think, is suitable if you're not planning to host 2, 3, 4, 5 meetings at the same time, like we had to do in our previous conference, for example.
But yeah, if there's any specific, if you're looking at different kind of Zoom accounts, just send us Fernando or myself, send us a note, and we'll try and advise you which one might be the best one for you. Because I think we've actually gone up through them all. I think we started off with the cheapest one, and then the middle one, and then the most expensive one as our needs grew. So I think we kind of know a little bit about each of the packages. But anyway, back to you, Fernando.
Yeah, as I said, Zoom is really complete and really highly customizable. You can customize it really, like to tailor your needs. But yeah, have a look to the different add-ons that they have as well, because you can add more participants, you can add different features without increasing the plan without going to another plan. Okay, I think I left it in waiting room. Yeah, so waiting room enable. And then what you will need to do is from the waiting room, you choose the speakers that you have invited, the person that needs to be tested or prepared, and you let them in. Once you let them in, you need to promote them as co-hosts. So there are different ways of doing this, but this is the way we do at Europark. We prefer to have all the speakers as co-hosts, so we can, for example, you go to the black square where the enable waiting room is, you see that below is allow participants to share a screen, chat, rename themselves, and unmute themselves. So if, for example, I uncheck and mute themselves, so no participant will be able to unmute themselves, but the co-host will be able because they are not participants anymore. Okay, so this is one of the big differences. The same with share screen. If you don't want to be interrupted by somebody sharing the screen with cut videos or something like that, you enable participants to share the screen. However, the co-host will still have that capability. Okay. Then we do the testing when we before the meeting starts. Pretty basic video and sound and sharing screen functions. Make sure that you have a copy of the presentation of the speakers ready, because sometimes things go south on their end, so you need to display the presentation on their behalf. Okay. And it's important to organize roles. We recommend to have at least two persons managing a meeting. One will be the host, the technical manager, which will be muting and muting participants, accepting them from waiting room and so on. And then we have the moderator or the facilitator, which is the person that will present the speakers, do the introduction of the meeting, and so on and so on. Normally answer questions from the chat. Sometimes we use a chat assistant who collates the questions from the chat and gets them ready for the facilitator. So they need to be communicating all the time. And also they can send, the chat assistant can send resources or can answer technical questions. In any case, we are providing you with Zoom guidelines for hosts and participants, so you have a more complete information there, okay? During the meeting, the host function is pretty much, well, manage the participants, make sure that somebody that wants to speak has the right to speak. So you need to enable them or give them the capacity to unmute their microphone and so on. It's important that you provide housekeeping rules before the meeting. So how questions and answers are gonna be solved. Ask the participants to rename themselves, because otherwise you may not be able to identify them. Sometimes it happened to us that one of the speakers has appeared like with the name of another name or a number, and we couldn't find him or her to give the speech. It's important also to remind the participants that they can use the chat for questions, but this depends on how do you organize the meeting dynamics, okay? And also the host should be the person displaying videos, as I said, presentation backups. Okay, some engagement tools really quickly. Carol will explain some more later on, but from a host perspective, this is the menus, the control menus that you have in Zoom. You can create polls, okay? Well, this needs to be created in advance from the back end. From the back end, I mean from the when you schedule the meeting, before the meeting has started. But this is the way how you launch them. Polls, what are great tools for engagement and to know the audience a bit better. And you need to set them through the web. You cannot set them through the application, as far as I know. Both the host and the co-host can launch and close the polls. Be careful, because it happens that co-hosts want to vote, but instead of voting are closing polls. And watch out also when you relaunch a poll. So for example, a co-host closes the poll. I launch it again, but all the answers are reset. So there is no answer from the previous answers that they, okay. Just some tips. Breakout rooms is another way. Well, you have been using them, but from the host perspective, you need to also set them in advance. We recommend setting them manually, so you can assign not only the participants at your convenience, but also a moderator or a person that will do the debriefing when they come to the plenary session. So it's better to do this manually and pre-assign who is going to be in which. Okay. The host can join and leave rooms at any time, so you can go one by one to see how people is doing, and this can be customized also from the web options. Carlos, do we have time to launch a quick poll just to see how?
Yes, I can do that now. Oh, you want me to launch the poll?
Yeah, please. Okay, so this is 3 questions poll. If you would like to give an answer, clicking on any of the answers. The first one is multiple choice. You can select 1 or 4 or 3, and the other ones are single choice. You have around 1-2 minutes to answer. Okay.
Mine won't let me submit.
Janice, I don't know if you're a participant or a co-host.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
No, you're a guest. You should be able to vote. Eh? Can you see the poll?
Yeah, I've got the poll. I've ticked boxes, and yeah, I pressed submit several times, and it just doesn't want to know.
Oh, sorry for that. That might be at your end. We sometimes have problems with the polls, and some people are not able to see them, depending on the device that they are using. But if you can see it, you should be able to submit them.
Yeah, I feel deprived now.
Your vote is not being counted, Janice.
It's Brexit.
It's a rigged poll.
It's a rigged poll, isn't it?
Okay.
Brexit.
Is this because of
Yeah, it's
Brexit?
Brexit. You're not allowed to vote in European polls anymore.
Okay, so I think is one person missing, that is you, Janice. But yeah, the polls, we can share the results now. So you can see them in your screen. The first question was a multiple choice. So just to know what roles have you taken in Zoom meetings before. I can see that more than a half of you have joined as a host, and half of you has joined as a moderator, with the dynamization. I don't know how to call this, facilitating the meeting, okay? And many of you, the majority, have joined Zoom meetings as a presenter, and of course, as a participant, because we are doing it right. Have you ever recorded a video before? 1/4 of the audience has recorded with a cell phone, and 3/4 with a DSLR camera. So in this case, it's a single choice question. I assume that if you did it with a DSLR camera, you did it before with a cell phone, but this is my assumption. But I'm happy to know that everybody has recorded a video in your life. And video edition, a quarter of you have done basic trimming of video clips, and the rest of you have done a bit more advanced. Sorry, no, because the last answer is no. I haven't. Almost half of the answers never edited the video. Okay, which is what we are gonna see. Okay, thank you for answering the question. So you see, this can be really nice, not only to know a bit more about the audience, but also to give a break to the audience, allow them to concentrate in another thing than hearing the speech. Okay. Okay, so we continue with the video making, very basic concepts. Why to use videos in training courses? So the good thing about video is that makes concept visualization easier than words. It's easier to explain with images than with words. And for the same reason, it's easier to retain information through images and through videos. Videos can be used and reused at any time. We normally, for example, for webinars, or in this case, we provide the videos for participants to go over them later on. And in this case, that in which we are putting a lot of technical information, it's a good way to go step by step, play and pause, so you can follow up and set up, for example, the Zoom room on your own, okay? And they also increase the participants' engagement. some basic tips for making a good video. So what I will try to avoid is to get a camera or a cell phone, jump in front of it and start recording. That's not how videos should be done, but you really need to organize and to prepare them. It's important to create a script. What do you want to say, but also what are you going to record? Where are you going to record it? How this contributes to the message. What is the message that you want to convey, or what is the story that you want to tell? Videos should be concise. They don't need to be really long. Actually, for short interviews, we normally try to keep them around 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes maximum, because otherwise they become a bit boring, especially today in which we are floating. I mean, videos are everywhere, okay? It's important that you know your audience, so you tailor the message and the contents for your audience. And it's important that you use visual thinking. Try to use images instead of words. If you don't have any image or clips or a sequence, you can use text, but try to represent everything with an image, okay? Try to put a bit of the fun bit in the video. It's important that because it sparks the interest and keeps people concentrated. And music, well, this is a big debate because it's based on taste, but not every music fits every video. Of course, you need to choose music wisely, and normally music should have an intention. It has to move, it has to evoke emotions, it has to fill up a role or function. Otherwise, it's better to not do it. And in our experience, this is something that we have repeatedly done in Europark. We have used video creation as an engagement tool, something to engage with our audience. For example, this year in the European Day of Parks, we have asked members to provide a short video message of 1 minute. So, well, explaining what was the situation after the COVID crisis and what they are planning to do to change that. This is a 1 minute video that I would like to display. Can you hear the sound?
And I proudly represent the specially protected nature areas and junior ranger movement of Latvia. The past year has been pretty difficult and full of challenges, but it was also full of new ideas and lots of work. Let's look at some examples. We made cross-country ski trails because this winter people more often than not chose to do recreational activities in the great outdoors. We made a video to inform tourists about the dangers of littering in nature. Whenever paying Mother Nature a visit, remember this: don't leave any trace of yourself. Whatever you had with you on the way there must remain with you on the way back. With the help of experts, an animal footprint guide, which is available to everybody on the web, has been developed. We had a big get-together event with all the junior rangers in Latvia in the summer to further expand and unite the movement. We freed up the river by taking down beaver dams. Some of us have been a part of the movement for so long that for the first time in Latvia, a Youth Plus program has been formed. We can't wait for official Junior Ranger events to start again. You can follow this website for more updates. See you soon.
Okay, so let's use this as an example. You can see that in this video, they have created the script first, and they have, sorry about that, and they have used different resources, clips, they have used pictures, they have some music, and they have sent a message, a concise message in 1 minute, okay? And this is something that probably people without experience in videos have done. And we normally do this type of campaigns, not only to get information, but because it's really engaging for them, okay? So we really encourage to use this type of campaigns. Let's go to video making equipment. What do you need to create videos? So I have divided it into for beginner filmmakers and for advanced filmmakers, okay? For and also in video and sound. So for video, when you're a beginner, you just need a cell phone. Cell phones today have a really good quality cameras, and you can get even professional looking videos with them, okay? Set your cell phone in recording mode, put it in landscape position preferably, and use a hard surface for stabilization if you don't know how to record videos. The results are better this way, okay? And then for sound, it's important to try to record sound separately. Why? Because it's more important the sound than the image actually. You can get you can have a better result with a good sound and bad video than with a good video than a bad sound, okay? And one trick that we use is to get a second cell phone. The cell phone that you're recording with is in front of you, and then a second cell phone. You put it in recording mode or through a sound recording application. You hit play, put it in your chest pocket, they record at the same time, and then you will need to synchronize audio and the video, okay? That will be done in the edition process. For advanced filmmakers, well, I'm pretty sure that if you have used DSLR cameras, you probably know a bit more and know what to do. But recommended file formats, MPEG-4 or MOV, and we normally recommend as well 24 to 25 frames per second, okay? And the image resolution, if you want to share the video in YouTube, for example, the aspect ratio of YouTube is 16:9. So traditional pictures were 4:3. You realize now pictures are taken in a 16:9 ratio, and this is normally what HD video has as well, okay? And for sound, we recommend microphone plugged into your camera and the settings that you can see here. Audio codec ACC, recording mono, 128 kilobytes per second or better. Really technical thing. You don't need to know all of this on the right, but if you are into video making, you may be familiar or like this. Sound is critical again. You will need to synchronize your sound, but really it's worth to take the effort to record sound separately from the video, okay? How to record interviews. There are many things to do this, many ways of recording, but what we normally suggest if you are kind of entry level into video making is you see the image on the right. The black square will be the frame of either the camera or the cell phone. Try to place the speaker sort of try to catch half of his or her body with a line of sight place around. So you divide this square into three on the upper third of the screen, okay? And do not place it in the center. It's better to place it on one of the sides. This is called the third rule, I think it's called in English. You can find more information on that, or I can send you more information on how to compose images. This is somehow important, okay? Microphone or cell phone in the chest pocket, and that's it, ready to shoot. Some tips about avoid backlight. So you should place, if you're outdoors, you should place yourself facing the sun. If you have a window behind you, that's gonna give you backlight and your silhouette will appear black. So try to avoid those situations. For outdoors as well, recording in a cloudy day is easier than recording in a sunny day because the light is softer in cloudy days. It will not make a really bad contrast in the scene. And for indoors, we always tend to put ourselves really sticking against the wall, which is a funny thing, but it doesn't look good. It looks really bad. So it's better to place yourself away from the walls. If you're sitting in a desk, it's better if there is some space behind. And the idea here is stay away from walls, but focus on the face of the speaker and blur the background. So the background should appear out of focus, okay? Basic video edition. Why we need to edit the video when we can record it in the cell phone and send? Okay, so we want videos to be attractive. We need to create a structured and concise message or story. And we're looking for impact, okay? We need to impact our audience. Video edition will allow you to do this, to get bits and pieces and to create that message or that story. Way better than recording on a row and sharing it. The video edition process, I'm not gonna get into software or how to actually edit the videos, but just for you to know how is the basic process. Once you have recorded, you import your files. video and sound files, and you need to organize them to create that story that we are talking about. So normally they are line editors in a timeline. So you place the different clips until you have a coherence in the message that you're sending. You can trim, you can change order, you can, as I was saying, get bits and pieces, and you can synchronize the audio at this stage. Then you need to add the titles, and if there is any missing info because you didn't manage to record the sequence that you will need for that story, you can add some text. Try to minimize the amount of text that you use, but you can do it. Effects. Once you have your storyline, your whole message, you can apply some effects. The basic ones are the transitions, which is how the clips blend between each other. They can dip to black, they can cross dissolve, they can, there are many effects that you can do also to clips, okay? But the basic ones are the transitions. So if you're in the entry level, just focus on that. Then you can add some music, as we said before, with intention and knowing what you want the music for. And the most important thing, adjust the music and the volume of the video. Otherwise, easily the music will get over the narration. So you will not be, it will be confounding. The music can be covering what is actually being said. And then you're ready to export your video. This is some YouTube settings that I'm not going to get into detail, but this is what is the best settings for YouTube sharing, upload and sharing, okay? And if you never experienced with video editing software, there is some basic video editing software included in Windows, like the Windows Movie Maker, also in Mac, the iMovie, and YouTube has its own editor. For a more pro level, Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, and DaVinci Resolve, the two for us are paying software. The second one I think is free. We use Adobe Premiere Pro in EuroPark, and seriously is quite a steep curve to learn how to use this. Okay, but if you're interested, I will share with you some resources later on. Okay, green screen video basic concepts. I'm sure you have heard and seen in, for example, in the weather forecast, how they do that, or in cinema, why they are recording everybody in green with a green background. Okay, we record over a green background because we want to record only, for example, the speakers, and then we can change the background. We can put whatever we want. In the case of the weather forecast, the lady has been recorded over a green screen, but she has on her back the weather forecast, the actual map. Okay, why we do this? So the fundamentals of green screen recording are that the human skin tones are on the range of orange, brownish, and this, if you look to a color wheel, is the complementary colors to our skin. So green and orange, or blue and orange are complementary, okay? So we can say that our skin is the opposite to green. That's the reason why we use green color, because our final objective is to remove the green color, everything that is green in our footage. If the skin is orange, it creates a high contrast, so we can remove the green without removing tones of our skin, okay? Green screen, blue screen are similar. They can be used alike, okay? But in this case, for example, if you see me on the right, I'm wearing a blue t-shirt. In that case, if we use a blue screen, when I remove the blue of the screen, I will remove the blue of my t-shirt as well. And for video screen production, I said before, there is a whole tutorial on this. I don't want to get really into deep in this technique. Just for you to know the basic equipment, you need to do it in a dark room. You need to control the light all the time. So that's why it needs to be dark. You need the green screen and a set of lights, which can be purchased for around 300 euros in Amazon. So it's not big deal. Then you need a good camera and a tripod, a microphone, external microphone or recording device. As we said, sound is critical, and a prompter to prepare your speech so you can read while you are being recorded, okay? Then you set the stage and hit record. The setting up the stage for green screen recording is a bit tricky because it's all about distances, the good light, uniform lighting of the screen, and so on. But you can check more on that tutorial I'm speaking about. And then how we remove the green color is in post-production. So the basic corrections, apart from setting the whole video, of editing the whole video, you need to apply the Ultra key in Adobe Premiere Pro at least, which is the function that we use to remove the green color. You need to crop some of the sides of the video that are out of the screen, and probably you will need to scale a bit the characters. Okay, we can send you some good examples of green screen video that we did for Life Edu project, and the idea is to get this in the end. I'm finishing, Carol. And some additional resources for running online conference in Zoom. For hosts, we have some guidelines that are shared in Moodle, and also for participants and presenters. Video edition, a basic tutorial on YouTube edition, you can be found in this link, and a bit more advanced in the following link, but it's only in 20 minutes, and Premiere Pro, you can spend months learning how to use Premiere, okay? And for green video production, as I said before, there is this tutorial that we made some time ago. And I recommend Kevin the Basic Filmmaker, which can be found in YouTube. You have the link here. And this is a green screen video tutorial, but he has many others. Okay. Thank you very much. And if you have any question.
Good. Thank you very much, Fernando. I know that's a lot to take on board, but we wanted to give you as many options as possible. Both for your assignment, but also for the future, and in terms of you know, your ambitions to produce learning materials in the future. So, like I said, the basic stuff, the guidelines are on the Moodle now. I think I've opened it up anyway. If I haven't, I'll do it in a minute. Opened up the that page, and I will move the other material that's currently in the Life EDU Moodle. I'll move that also into our one, should you need it. I doubt you'll need it unless you're suddenly going to go into video production in the next 2 weeks for your learning assignments, but it'll be there should you need it. Okay, I am now going to go into hyper speed and just quickly run through the last few things. Again, just to give you some ideas on what you might want to use for your assignments. So let me just see where I am. Hold on 1 second, I just need to come out of full screen and find my own. Yeah, so let's just pop into Mentimeter. So I know with, you know, we used Mentimeter in the earlier units. So I know you've had some experience of it as a person taking part in a Mentimeter, but in terms of actually creating one yourself, I'll just quickly jump in here and show you how to do that. I was just thinking when you were talking about the mural and other things, I suddenly thought, well, is Mentimeter free? I think it is. If anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we pay a subscription to Mentimeter, so I think it is a free resource. You have to set up an account because you need to have you need to set up a presentation. So here's mine. This is my account, and you can see some of the previous Mentimeters that we've done here, and it's as simple as that. Most of this is sort of a what can I say, preset for you. So let's call it the STTfT. Right. So we set up a presentation. That's the way setting it up for you in its software. And it's going to give you some options. What kind of presentation do you want? Do you want a word cloud, as Marta showed us earlier? Do you want a multiple choice question? Do you want to do some ranking of some options that you've given people? Do you want to have some open-ended question? I quite like this one. It's like an opinion piece. So here's again the frame. You set your question. Hate doing this live. Suddenly forgotten how to spell. What was your favorite activity? And I would like, you know, so this is an open-ended piece. So it's like having the sticky notes in some respects, and it's giving you some options here as to how you would like the slide to be presented. Would you like people to present it as little speech bubbles, as a flowing grid so that the squares come out? I'm going to do speech bubbles just because I like that. So that's that. And then, as you can see, it's already generated the code up here. So this is the code that I then give you. Now, as it is, ordinarily I would have set this up in advance, and I show you it as a screen share in the sessions, as you've seen me do before. So very quickly, if you can take a note of that code, you should see it in front of you there, 26611790, because I will then just going to move things around a bit. So that presentation is now live. So as soon as I give you that code, 26611792, if you remember, you go to menti.com, as we did before, and that should take you into this live slide. So I'm keeping it live for you so you can see it happen as you do it. So menti.com, 26611790. In a learning event, obviously you're not doing it. You can do it live like this if you suddenly spontaneously decide you want to do a Mentimeter. Yes, you can. But you know, it's quite a high-risk strategy. You would normally have prepared your slide in advance, and you just tell people the code. I normally keep all of this not on screen share, so you normally can't see this. I normally just open it up once people have answered and you see the final presentation. So I've got one answer so far, that the video demo was the interactive participation with activities. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to spend a long time on this. It's mainly to show you how to do it. Oh, somebody's being mugged somewhere. The secret animal, the very first thing we did. Well, I hope you're going to use your secret animals when you go into your groups.
Well, that was me, Carol. This is the only one that I have been into. So.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I say I'm not going to. Yeah, I can leave it open, and you can still do it as I'm showing you something else. So that's it, and then you would just go into once you feel that you've given people sufficient time, or enough people have answered your question, or whatever it is you're looking for, then yeah, usually you go into present mode, which was up in the top right hand corner there, and then you can see the full screen in the Zoom session. You can see the answers that people have presented. So I say you've got loads of options with Mentimeter, from a word cloud to a quiz to a you know, whatever it is you want to do. So do go on there and explore for yourself and see what creative options you can have. The most important thing is you have to know what it is, why you're using that tool in the first place. What is it that you want your learners to share or give feedback on or vote on, or whatever it is? Obviously you have to have thought about that in advance and then choose the right format inside the Mentimeter to help you deliver that best. So again, it's a nice, usually relatively quick, interactive tool. Some flaws in the system is, some people can't connect properly. And also I've had this before, where what you're seeing on the phone isn't always exactly what I'm seeing on the screen, and people are asking me about how do I do this, and I don't know how to advise them, because I don't know what what's on the phone screen in terms of voting and stuff like that. It can get a little bit complicated there. So I'm going to pop now onto Jamboard, and again, I'm not going to go into this in a huge amount of detail, because I'm going to suggest that you pop in there and create one for yourself, or just explore for yourselves. Would be this one. And as we talked about the impact exercise, or briefly mentioned it with Neil last week, I'm showing you a live example of this. You never know, one of my partners, colleagues from other organizations may actually be on this Google Drive as we speak, so you might actually see some live putting in. So this is like almost maybe a less glamorous or less sexy version of the mural that you showed, Marta. So this is part of your Google, what would you say, things that you get with Google. in your Google Drives. And it's called Jamboard. And I don't have time to take you through how to set one up. I'm just going to talk you through that. Here's one I prepared earlier. So there is the impact exercise, as we explained. And why I asked the question to you, Marta, about how you set that up in the background is precisely that, because I had to learn how to do that. Because normally you start off with a blank. So there's one it's filled in earlier. Let me just move past all of these guys. So I'm now on page 9. I've set up 9 slides. I'm on slide 9. As you can see, it's a blank screen. So if you want to put something, if you just want people to pick up a sticky note, which is these here, there's your sticky notes. All right, and again, you can choose whatever color you want. Let's go with blue. If you just want to have a blank screen and you're just asking people to, a brainstorming, what is your favorite color? And they're just putting sticky notes on a blank screen, that's perfectly fine. You can use the text box to set your question at the top, so that when people come onto the Jamboard, they know what it is they're putting their sticky notes in about. And you can also, I did try to do this before, but it is, in what we would say in Scots, a bit footery. Not quite sure how to translate that. Neil, a bit footery.
Tricky.
It's a bit tricky to manipulate the ways of doing. So you can, for example, add in different shapes, and then you could put some lines in and make a table if you wanted to fill people to complete a table. What I prefer to do, what I've learned to do, as you can see with the rest of the impact, is I create or import a backdrop. You see it's asking you to set the backdrop. So if I wanted to take this, I'm not going to take it off because I need this to be set up because it's for some other reason. So you could just set it as white with dots, with lines. Again, if you wanted to create a table inside the Jamboard, I would probably start with the squares and then easily just put the lines around them in terms of how you wanted people to fill in the table, so on and so forth. If you're going to do an image, that's what the backdrop is. So what I did here was I copied the image of the impact exercise, saved it in another, saved it as an image, as a PNG image, and then I import that image into the Jamboard as a backdrop. So once that image is there, there's nothing more I can do with it. It's just stuck there in the background. But what you then can do is
Carol, I think it's the same thing with the mural.
Yes, I think it is, exactly.
You put a picture on a blank,
it's just a simple thing. Yeah, they do.
Thing.
And then you're putting your sticky notes superimposed on top. Yes. So then you can, as Marta showed as well, you can then move your sticky notes, wherever it is you feel you want to put them. And similarly, I mean, this is a live thing. I'm just going to delete that because this is a live board that I'm showing you here. This is set up as a Google document. You just create the link and you share the link with whoever it is you want to interact with that board. So you could do that live in a session, put the link into as we did the previous weeks, put the link into the chat and everybody can go then straight to that Google Drive and start interacting with the board. I could also share screen as I'm doing now. I could share screen, people doing that live, so that you can see everybody putting their stickies where they need to. So it's once you've figured out that, for example, you could create your entire table in Excel or a Word document, but save it as a picture. If you can't, I mean, another shortcut from that is just print screen it. Print screen your table, save it as a picture, and then put that as your backdrop to your Jamboard. So it just gives you the backdrop onto which you might want people to fill in, if according to a specific table or whatever you want. So again, you'll see, if I just scroll back, so I have a number of partners here who are doing this exercise this week, and you can see from Gobi in Spain have already done theirs, so that's their stickies that they've put on, and the other partners will do theirs over the next couple of days, and then I will have something that we've been working on as 6 partners across Europe, one document, and then I'll be able to utilize that document. You could do exactly the same in one session in one live session if you want a kind of brainstorm or a filtering of information of some kind. So that's your Jamboard. And then the very last thing I wanted to show you is where the other Carol comes in, which is where I say get a little bit schizophrenic. So on this one, I think, again, I showed you this, we played with this the last time. And this is where, yeah, if you remember, if you've got a tablet or some other device that can, into which you can connect to a Zoom. So this, this laptop here, if I can, hopefully it's gonna work, yeah. This laptop here is, I sent the Zoom link to myself and then I opened it up. So you need to set up a separate person coming into the meeting. If the laptop in which you are working on as the Zoom host doesn't have a screen, this type of facility, like my normal laptop does, I just send the link to this person, this other Carol, and they're now connected to the Zoom room using this device, because this device does have this facility to write directly on it. So again, you saw us doing this in previous previous sessions where we used it as another form of brainstorming, or just a way in which I can, certainly I find that if you want to, like a mind map type of thing, you know, what are we doing? Are we doing this? Or are we doing that? Or are we doing something else? Change the color. Change the color. Doing it too fast. Or are we doing something here? I think for drawing a quick diagram to explain something, I think that could be quite useful. But also, it's replacing the traditional flip chart that we all, or Blackboard, but the flip chart that we're all used to using in our previous lives as live trainers face to face. So that's something I'm going to continue to experiment with, the use of that sort of a device. And again, you could come in with a phone, you could come in with a tablet, and if it's got that ability to do that, I would certainly recommend it. So that's just a whirlwind tour of just some of the tools that we had previously used in our sessions. I don't have time to go into them in detail, but as you're setting up your group assignments, of course, if you need some further information on how to use these, don't hesitate to get in touch. Just another quick wee note on materials. I mean, Fernando was showing you, telling you about the benefit of using visuals. If you don't have a vast library of video clips or pictures to make use of, do get onto the internet and look for all the freeware that's out there, or stock images. Some you will be able to download one or two for free, and then you have to pay for them, but it's not a hugely expensive thing. If you really want those images for your video or for your presentation, use stock images that you pay for the use of that image on the internet. Don't ever, ever, ever use images that you don't have permission for. We've been caught out innocently, I have to say, innocently, in Europark a couple of times for using images that we didn't have the full permissions for, and we were given a rap on the knuckles, and I in fact even had to pay some reparations for that use, for that infringement of copyright. So do absolutely make sure you have permission to use a video clip or picture. If you're uncertain in any way, find the equivalent on freeware or stock images, and you pay for the use of that images. And that's the same for music and images. There's plenty of resources out there that you can make use of. Okay, I'll take any last questions, and then I'm going to go into the assignment and show you where that information is, and yeah, what you need to do next. So I'll give you a minute to think about any questions, and I'll open up the assignment.
I have a question.
Sure.
What are your tips and tricks when the attendees cannot, I don't know, use some tools? Or I know they are all very simple to use, but still usually you know that they cannot use it because of technical issues, or maybe because they are not really keen of doing that. What to do in this case? Like
Yeah,
from your
well, yeah, well, before I answer, I'll offer that to my colleagues or anyone else in the room who's got a tip to answer that.
Yeah, for me, Carol, Vesna, when we set up the entitlement to participate in Live Edu, we made it a requirement. So we had some guidance. We said that they would have to make sure that they had good internet access and access to basic equipment. Otherwise, we knew it was just going to limit their opportunity to be fully involved in the project. As it turned out, for sure, what you say is very true. So some of the participants found it really difficult to always guarantee that they would have strong internet access, especially when we were in peak COVID times and there were more than one person at home. So bandwidths fell away, and you just have to be flexible to that. But I think as a point of principle, you would make it a requirement. Otherwise, it becomes impossible to sort of achieve the full potential of your online training course. So.
Anybody else got any advice they'd like to add? I mean, obviously, as Neil says, first of all, set some guidelines to begin with, and then find out. I mean, if you remember, you guys all filled in a little questionnaire at the beginning where I asked you, what experience you had and what access to what facilities you had, over and above the minimum requirements to actually be on this course. So yeah, you've got to know what people have and then what they can do, and then design your event accordingly. That's one way. The other way, of course, well, both ways are valid, is to make sure that when you designed your event, your session or your course in mind, that when you send that out for the participants to join it, that you give them very clear information about what is required to join that. And if if they don't have that equipment or unable to use it, then they can't join your course. That's the benefits and flaws of online learning. Otherwise, you do the most simple. You stick to just a didactic course where you are just teaching, which isn't really, you're not getting the benefits of the online environment. Fernando, sorry, did you have something?
Yeah, no, I would say that it's important to keep them informed about possible situations in which they cannot access some of the resources. For example, as I was saying before with polls, it happens that depending on the device, some people cannot vote. And what can we do there is, at the moment, you cannot do anything to solve it because they have a device, they join the meeting through that device, and it has some limitations that we don't know. But at least we inform them about that situation, so they don't think that they don't know how to use it or they are doing something wrong. I think it's good to give that feedback all the time. And keep it simple. Try to keep it simple. And as you can see, polls are not really difficult to fulfill, but sometimes it happens that the technical things, Janice couldn't submit it, but it's some of the limitations of online.
Okay, so unless there's any other questions, I'm going to quickly now just show you your assignment, and you'll find out who you're going to be working with for the next 2 weeks. So we said right at the beginning that this whole course, so everything from finding out what your own learning preferences were, looking at all those, the VA keys, remember, the visuals and the auditory and the kinesthetic learners. So we've learned about ourselves as trainers. Hopefully we've learned something about, us thinking about who our learners are, who our audience are, how to evaluate and assess them, how to give and receive feedback. Geez, it's been so much, I can't remember everything else we've done, but yeah, I'm not going to take you through a guided tour of the course. Of course, if you need to refresh yourself, everything is on the Moodle, and you can go back through the whole 6 weeks if you need to. So we want you to bring all of that together into one group exercise. And given that 12 people had signed up to take part in this exercise, rather than do 4 groups, which was my original intention, we've stuck to 3 groups. So there'll be 3 groups of 4. So the first thing to do is check that. Obviously, you're going to get all this information just in a few minutes. But absolutely check that your name is there. If it's not there, I need to know, because I'll need to assign you to a group. So group one, and feel free to give yourself names. I'm quite happy to listen to some creative names and find out who your spirit animals were. Yeah, I give you complete creative freedom to do what you need to do here once I've explained the criteria of the actual assignment. So group one will be Ivor. And again, remember I asked you who can host a Zoom meeting, because otherwise this will not work. So Ivor, he doesn't know that yet because he's not in this room, but I've chosen him to be the host of group one because he has a Zoom account that he can use. Chiara, Esmeralda and Agne, you are going to be in group one. Group two, Eleanor is going to host that group with Eva, Frederica and Vesna. And group three, Kaiser, if you don't mind. And I know for sure that your session will be recorded. Kaiser will host that session with Max, the three M's, I didn't realize it was three M's there, Max, Margaret and Marta. So I've tried to mix you up country-wise and experience-wise, and from what you said in your previous informations, that, and I've also put onto the Moodle, just in case you haven't found it elsewhere, all your contact details, but you can message each other on the Moodle and so on and so forth. So over the next 2 weeks, you guys need to speak to each other and sort something out. What is it you're going to sort out? Well, this is what you're going to do. I essentially want you, as we've been leading up to for the last number of weeks, to design and deliver a half-hour learning experience, obviously in sustainable tourism, utilising the content of the sustainable tourism platform, which you've all been through now previously. What I've also done for you is you were using 4 of the activity worksheets in the last few weeks in terms of identifying audiences and writing the learning objectives. You have the option to continue to use them because you've already kind of a half thought out a kind of a learning event for that topic anyway. But I spent most of Saturday afternoon, and I tell you it was quite a long job, sorting all of the activity worksheets according to the 9 topics of the Sustainable Tourism Platform. So I'm now giving you access to all 40 of the activity workshops. So you've been working with 4, but there are another 36. So if you don't particularly like any of the 4 topics that you've been using or seeing thus far, you can go in and look at the other 40 and choose another topic. Now remember, what is there on those activity worksheets is an activity that's described as if it was going to be a face-to-face event. So you need to translate that into an online learning event based on all of the tips that we've been talking about both today and in the previous weeks. So you will find that in that Google Drive there, and it's on the sheet here. So go onto that Google Drive, and hopefully, if I've done it correctly, you will find the 9 topics folders, and you will find all the activity worksheets assigned under those topics. Or use the one that you've already been using. So what we want you to do, what you need to produce for us by the 5th of May, together as a group of 4, is a completed lesson plan, and a blank template is on the Moodle. That's the same template that I've been using for the last 7 weeks. So, and that should cover everything that we've been talking about: a learning objective, who your audience are, what tools are you going to use, etc., etc. So it's your thinking out sheet. What am I going to do? And you've just written it all down. You need to set up and deliver the online learning session. Now, I said Zoom, and that is for the full half hour. So you've got to factor in the time that people come into the room, then the actual session itself, and then if you're going to do helicoptering at the end, sometimes you might want to do helicoptering as you go on the way around, or if you're going to do an in-session evaluation and assessment of that session during the session, you need to factor that time in. I'm not specifically asking you to do that, but I will ask you to describe what evaluation or assessment you would have done of that session if you choose not to do it at the end of the session, like Marta suggested in terms of that word cloud. You need to use different tools. Yeah, that's why we've presented different options to you. So we would want to see the topic, the content that you've chosen, and we'd like to see you elaborating that in different ways. And again, how you do that across your group, one person taking a shot each, we don't really care. Or all 3 of you speak at once, 4 of you speak at once. We leave that for you to you know, choose for yourself. An example of what assessment or evaluation you would do, as I say, can either just do it or tell us what you would have done. And then do remember that helicoptering experience. So we, on this occasion, the rest of the group are going to be your audience for this learning event. So you need to helicopter back to us why you chose the things that you chose and the tools that you're using, and you know, what you intended the result of that to be. I'm not going to, the rest of it just explains a bit more detail. I've said to you, obviously, if you need people to see documents in advance, if you remember when we did that, when I set up the breakout groups, I needed you to see, you know, the activity of that before you went into the breakout room. You can either do that by setting up your own Google Drive and giving people the link to go and get that document or read that document, or if you need it, I can put it on the Moodle for you, but you would need to send me all the documents that you need in advance so that I can put them on the Moodle and people can access them there. Up to you. Just don't send them all to me 10 minutes before the session starts. So I'm not going to be able to do that. I think I've given you some dates and deadlines. What I'm suggesting, and this is, I will write to the hosts specifically to advise them on that, but so that the others of you know what's happening. This is roughly the schedule for the 5th of May. We'll come together. I will send out a Zoom link to this Zoom account. And we'll all come together just to touch base and go, right, we're okay, we're here, we're doing this. And it's also the backup emergency space that we need to come back to if everything goes terribly wrong. And I will open up that room and it'll be open for as long until we go to our beds. Then what each group needs, as I say, the host of each group needs to set up the Zoom room for that event. So they will need to send to all of us the link to get into that room. And I've actually suggested that everybody just sends their links to me and I'll send them out as a program to everybody. So essentially we're all going to go on a sort of a guided tour across Europe. We'll be in Estonia with Ivor, we'll be in Ireland with Eleanor, and we'll be in Finland with Kaisa. So we're really just going to do a tour of Europe through Zoom. So you need to send the link in advance, and then once we finish 1/2 hour, that's why I've put 5 minutes between each one, we all come out of that room and click the next link in order to go to the next room, and so on and so forth. And then we'll end up back in the, I will not have closed the original Europart Zoom room, and we'll all come back into the Europart Zoom room to have some feedback and analysis of these learning events. Is that any questions? Is that reasonably clear? It's a bit of an experiment. We've never done this before, and I don't know anybody who's done this before. So we are totally guinea pigging this this type of event. So I have complete faith that you will be able to do this. Busy, and that's why I've said, if you're going to set up the room for 2 hours. Don't just set the room up for ½ an hour, because if our timings all start to go skew with, or somebody's internet crashes, we will need to readjust the where we're going. And if really all else fails, we'll all end up back in the Europart Zoom room, and we'll just do presentations from there. But that's not the purpose of the exercise. The purpose of the exercise is that you set up the learning experiences. Otherwise, all you're doing is I'm setting up the the event and you're just presenting into it, and that's not what we want to do here. Okay, any questions?
I would just like to comment that I have to disappoint you. You won't be able to go to Finland. I'm also from Estonia. So...
Oh, right. Oh, I do apologize, guys. I do apologize. Okay. Well, but Estonia is a lovely place. It's nice to go twice. Yeah. So I do apologize. I had it in my mind you were in Finland, but I don't know why.
Kaisa is a Finnish name.
It is a Finnish name, and that's probably what's confusing me. But
it's okay.
Okay, anybody else? I mean, obviously, this is on the Moodle now, so take an opportunity to just read it and send me any questions on the forum. So you've got multiple ways of contacting your team, either using the, as I say, using the Moodle itself, using the forum there, or using the messaging facility on the Moodle. You'll have each other's emails, and then you can choose any other way if you want to set up a WhatsApp group or a Skype group or whatever it is you also want to do to keep in touch over the next 2 weeks.
How do we have the emails? Do you?
It's on the Moodle.
It's on the Moodle, okay.
Yeah, it's both on the Moodle in terms of if you click on that participant, you'll get their information. But I've put a sheet on the Moodle now, an Excel spreadsheet with everybody's name and email address on it. I have put phone numbers in like that, just email addresses.
And so that Google that document that you said you put 40 examples. So we need to choose sort of one there, and there are like 40 tests.
If you want to be ambitious, I think only one topic you'll be able to do in half an hour. And even it's a topic of a topic, you know, it's a subset of a topic. Yeah, you could choose any one you want, but you have to choose one of them. You can't do your own thing.
And then
it needs to be one of them. Remember right at the start, we said this is about training people in how to deliver the contents of the Sustainable Tourism for Tomorrow platform. Well, these activity sheets are the Sustainable Tourism for Tomorrow platform. So you do have to use one of them. You can modify the content, but I'm about to tell you what else you need to do with these activity worksheets. I would need to know why you changed the content and blah, blah, blah. But the topics are fixed in that sense. But you got 40 to choose from. So I think you'll find one that you might be more interested in.
So we're choosing the topic, and then we need to deliver almost like we were training other people.
Exactly. You are exactly. It's not as if you were like, you are going to deliver a training session for the rest of the group. We can't do an hour each, otherwise, as I say, we'd be here till in our pajamas. So it's just half an hour each, and that gives us the ability to fill that kind of a 2 hours by moving from one Zoom event to another. Okay, so that sheet is on the Moodle, so please take an opportunity to read it. You've got one final little extra assignment that we need you to do, and as you're going into that Google form, as I say, you will see all 40 activity worksheets there. Our partners in the projects, particularly those from Hull and Hasselt University who created these activity sheets, would like you to do a short evaluation of them, just to follow up on the evaluation and assessment exercises that we didn't do last week because we ran out of time. You're going to actually do one. So as you're browsing through these 40 sheets, if you choose to do so, but I do ask you to take a look at them, and then there's a little Word document on the Moodle which has just got a few questions on it that Hasselt and Hull University would really appreciate your feedback on, in terms of what you think about these activity sheets, because it will help them develop more and amend the existing ones in the future. So take a look at them, take a read at them. You remember we had a very short discussion about them last week where we felt that perhaps the learning objectives weren't as clear as they could be. I've already fed that information back to them, but now they would really like you to take a look at them and give them some feedback on how these activity worksheets appear to you and how useful they are for you as trainers. So if you could do that, it's on the Moodle as well, so if you could do that too. Okay, that's us. Any questions? You're bursting to get into your groups and meet your colleagues and come up with something innovative and wonderful on the 5th of May. So like I say, any questions as you're going on over the next 2 weeks, do put them on the first place I'd ask you to do that is put them on the forum, because other people might have the answer other than me. But do stick your questions or thoughts on the forum, and we'll try and help you put your event together. And I think we're all looking forward to it. I know Neil, Janice and I in particular, we're looking forward to seeing if any of this learning that we've been trying to share with you in this next 7 weeks has helped you to produce something at the end of it. So yeah,
I'm looking to pick up some tips.
And to pick up some tips ourselves, we really are. So great. Okay, I'm going to leave it there then. I say I'll just go into the Moodle in the next few minutes and just finalize opening up all of the documents. If there's anything missing or you need further information, okay, send me a message and I'll try and get that on as quickly as possible. But I'm going to be really busy for the rest of the week, so if I don't do it now, it's not going to happen. So, okay, guys, thank you so much. I'll be sending a message especially to the hosts of these groups, because they in particular need to get the Zoom room set up as Fernando described earlier. They need to get all of that set up in order for you guys to then agree together the structure of this event and what you're going to do within it. Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone.